My name is again Johannes Brombach. Oh, we have to be. My name is Johannes Brombach. I'm one of the organizers of the summer school, and we like to introduce the summer school with something where we talk to you in German. Die größte Sehenswürdigkeit, die es gibt, ist die Welt. Sieh sie dir an. Tucholsky back then said that the greatest side there is basically the world, and you should look at that. I think from our perspective, traveling abroad, seeing other countries, seeing other social systems is so important for young people. And Jörg and I, when we basically put that together, we're thinking about what did that do to us? So why do we think it's so important to travel, to learn about other cultures, to see how other systems work? And that is basically what we are going to share with you first, before we are obviously also introducing the summer school program to you. So this is Munich. It's a city that I think it's beautiful. You know, I still think so. I wasn't born in Munich. I moved over because I liked it. You see the Alps in the background. You see a church that here in 1490 something. What do I know? Munich used to be a kingdom in the Middle Ages. You have all those old buildings, a lot of history, and it's actually true that our university, as we will show you later on, is right within that city. So no, we are not close by, we are right in it. So talking about Munich in general, you see here some bullet points that we put together. You know, Munich is the capital of Bavaria. Like I said before, it used to be a kingdom of Bavaria, and then within the history part of Germany, but sometimes it feels like it's still a little bit a kingdom within Germany, and this is the capital of it. We have a little bit more than 1.4 million inhabitants within the city. The metropolitan area is even bigger, with 6 million people all around there. It's an industrial high-tech hub. Companies like BMW, MAN, and Siemens, Linde, and many more companies basically home here in Munich. It is also an innovative metropolitan area in Germany. So we not have just the big companies like BMW and all those companies. We also have little startups. And we're actually known for that here in Munich. And that's why it's interesting to mention the top location for biotechnology, life science, and booming tourism. You know, I just talked about the Oktoberfest that is world known. Now after COVID, we had it again. It was fun to be there. Great place. Well, Germany is also a safe city, you know, and Germany is a safe country, and Munich is one of the safest cities in Germany. That's actually what it is. So a city where you should feel comfortable, and where you should not have to worry too much about how safe it is or not. It's a very safe city. If you look at it, if you ask people, it's the most livable city. Those rankings are very nice, especially when you are on top of it. Nevertheless, also within the touristic area, Munich is one of those cities that always will be mentioned when it's all about Germany. Here was this picture. I show you a little bit about myself, what I have done so far in the past. I don't want to mention any detail here. Maybe one detail that is important to me is that my wife, she's from America, upstate New York, from the Buffalo area. And so I can say that part of my family is living in the United States. So we are here in Germany. Sometimes if we come together for holiday times, and then we are the Germans coming over, which is actually fun. And we are enjoying to be in the States, and I've also worked there. Why is that maybe important to mention it? Well, now if you visit a country, you know, that's the one thing. If you come in as a tourist, that's fun. You know, if you work in a country, that's different. You know, and that's also what we want to offer you. You know, we want you to have the experience of coming to another country and work there. You know, do something. So if I look back in my life, you know, when I was a student in your age, I decided to go abroad for my internship, and I went to South Africa. It was a great time. My parents dropped me off at the airport. I was feeling very confident until I realized in the plane that I would be totally alone in South Africa on the other end of the world, basically. And I could not ask my parents to help me out if there was any problem. So that changes people, and that change is important. So from my perspective, even though America is a great country, no question, get out of there, you know, do something on your own, and find out how other countries work, and learn something about yourself while you're doing it. So when Jörg and I put that together, and as I said, I'm not going to go through all the details here, I put together where I have been working and living, so to say, in the world. Obviously here in Germany, and I did a lot of tours through all the little countries that are in Europe. So comparatively, you see that also on the map here a little bit. In America, it's a big country, and you know, distance doesn't really play a role for you. So here, if you are traveling like for 1,000 clicks, you are traveling through at least 4 or 5, depending on where you are, countries, you know, where they speak different languages and where they do not understand each other. That's actually an interesting thing, not like in the United States, where you can travel for a long distance and you're still in America. Yeah? So it's very different. And when I put it together, I was thinking, you know, where did I really work then? Well, I did work, obviously, like I said, in South Africa. Half a year I spent there in Joburg. I was working in a company that was basically doing fans for the mining industry. It was very interesting. I learned to know about the culture of the people. It was fun. I also did trips also over to Asia, to Seoul, for a very short amount of time, but I still wanted to mention it here because I also spent enough time to meet people and learn something for myself. Obviously, I also visited Australia, and thought it was a beautiful mix between something that I've seen in America and something I've seen in England at the time. And also, you see here that I did work in the United States too when I extended my Fulbright program as a visiting professor, working at the Clarkson University in upstate New York, and also at the State University of New York. So from this, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Jörg, that is also going to say something about himself, and then we want to start deeper into the program. Jörg. I don't hear you.
Now you should be able to hear me.
Much better.
Right. So I'm married. We have one daughter. From education, you see, I do have a Master of Science from Georgia Tech. So I'm a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech. I very much enjoyed the time in Atlanta. I lived in Germany, USA, then of course, but also in Sweden and Austria. Austria, of course, is rather similar to Germany, even not quite, but very close. I worked in the automotive industry, and here you see, right, here you see countries where I lived, same logic as with Johannes. As you see, we do have some experience in traveling around. And when you go to the next one, Johannes, please. I put also some circles for Europe, and then realizing then when I finished my studies in Atlanta, I took a 3-month motorcycle tour throughout the USA. Went from Georgia to Missouri, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, and back, which basically covers almost what you see here. In Europe, with many different countries, there were many different states. But as Johannes pointed out, there wasn't just such a big difference between the states. Not as much as it is when you travel to different countries in Europe, of course. Go to the next one. Right, and this is to show the fantastic location of our campus of the University of Applied Sciences, right in the center of Munich. So you will live in a hotel in the center region, and the university is there. So a lot can be done by just walking around or taking the superb public transportation system, which is which will bring you basically everywhere. You will have how should I say, a plane ticket for all the area of Munich. So you will be able to move yourself from the hotel to the university and back, and also to see different sites and places in Munich. But we also will have students teaming up with you on the one hand side on the academic content, but also supporting you and also showing you around a little bit in the city. So you will be well taken care of. You will have lots of possibilities to see the places where the Munich people go to, and maybe not only the tourists will go to. Next one. Right. This is again one of the nice shots of the English Garden in Munich, also in the center of Munich. And here you will see us three with a short introductory sentence. If you click to the next, right? So we are excited to have you with us to share with you some international experience. And when we go further to the next one, I think there we okay. Now another nice background. Nice to see the Chinese tower in the English Garden, a very well-known beer garden where people meet and talk and get to know new people. This is very sociable there. As you see, you sit closer to the other people, you get in contact with them very easily, and you can enjoy and soak in the atmosphere, the relaxing atmosphere of a beer garden.
I think Doris wanted to say something about the dinner, right?
Okay, maybe you go a little bit ahead. So there you see some impressions. This is the welcome dinner from this year. We have been in a very traditional brewery restaurant. It's a really old restaurant where you can have delicious Bavarian food. And there you see our student coach, Ivan Dominik, who was with the student group this year, almost 24 hours, I guess. Rachel, I guess you have been with him as well a lot. You spend a lot of time with him as well, as far as I remember, yes. And this is one of our program points. It's the welcome dinner, and we bring you out the first evening. Here you can see even my colleague Katharina with Johannes. And Katharina and me, we are the contact persons for you if you need any assistance or help or have questions concerning Munich or something like that. So you can always come to us and we will give you some advices or something like that. And this is my favorite point of this program, because this is the evening where we meet the first time and we get in contact and we chat a little bit, and you can taste the Bavarian food. It's the first step into the Bavarian way of living.
Actually, it's not just an advertisement, right? You were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the welcome dinner was a lot of fun. It was great food. And yeah, we do spend a lot of time with the buddies, the students, like the paired students, I guess you could call it. Yeah.
Yeah, super. Indeed, the buddies. That was something that we introduced during the COVID time. You know, back then we thought, having online lectures might be draining. And I think it is. And so we thought, we need to engage the students with our German students. At the time, we decided that we would do that with a couple of students. First time we did it. This was the second time we introduced the buddy system, so to say. You guys have heard that already in ground school, but it was a idea that we introduced over the last 2 times, and we are very happy with that. Done it like that in the past. The buddies basically take it very serious. That's for sure. They are aware of their position. They're also aware of the situation that the colleagues from overseas, from America, come to visit, and that they need some assistance here and there, but they're also not overdoing it. So I think, I don't know, who was it that wanted to know that they really like me or not? Yes, they really liked you. That's really what it is. And they're still talking
Emma.
about it. Just yesterday I saw Dominic. He's working for our faculty at the moment. Some snapshots as we had a faculty day at our university. The university in itself is one of the biggest ones. It's the biggest one in Bavaria. It's the second biggest one in Germany, a big university with around 20,000 students. The faculty for mechanical engineering and business management is basically leading whenever it comes to a ranking. So we are, since years now, top #1 within our field for mechanical engineering and business administration, and that is where you will be studying. So what is now the specific idea about that business, technology, and engineering the German way? What is that all about? Well, it is a combination of lectures and real projects. I would call it like that. We are trying to teach you what we think is necessary to understand how we here in Germany do the engineering and technology and the business side. And in order to do that, we work in teams with German students. I'm not talking about the buddies now. I'm talking about other German students that are in different courses, which will be introduced to you. Also something that we introduced rather in the last 2 summer schools, not so much before. But it was a key element for us to see that would really change it. So the interaction between the students is something that we want to make sure that we have that now, and we don't want to miss that. While you're doing that, you will experience the German culture and also the German industry, how that works. It's about how to socialize with the students here in Germany, but it's also to socialize with the managers here in Germany. So we usually have a management presentation, and there will be a manager from a company, and he or she will be interested in what you found out and what your answers are to the questions that they had before. And I think that's also one of the key elements from our summer school, that we do not just academic questions. We also want to do stuff that the company is interested in, right? So you see here also from our experience success factors. Also, and that is also something that I think is very important, you can earn 6 credits, and hopefully in a way that is fun for you. So going into a little bit more details here, we will see how we work with you. We are planning an intensive schedule. We always do. I've never heard that somebody said, oh, it was a little bit boring and, didn't learn anything new. I've never heard that within all the years that I have done it. It's intensive, but it also must be intensive, I think. It's definitely not a waste of time. And the concept that I'm presenting to you together with Jörg and Doris to you today is a concept that we already experienced. It's a concept that works. And for many reasons, but also, let's say, for the reason to make it efficient. And, we Germans, we love efficiency. It's terrible. My family is always yelling at me when I come around with all those things. Oh, can we not do that a little bit more efficient? So we love efficiency. And, one of the things that is very efficient is if you prepare the students already before they come. We learned that over the COVID time again. We found out, we could already work with the students, teach them some general theories or some models that kind of work, and discuss with them a little bit how we want to apply that before they come. And that's what we are doing. That's what we propose to you today. You will have 5 days online preparation with us. We'll also do some German there, believe it or not. So I teach you some German here. It's like German for runaways, sure. But, I want to make sure that when you come over here, that you can already introduce yourself and find what you want to find, So this first week will be basically a week where we talk about how you will be prepared to come over here. Then when you're over here, we'll see a little bit more details about that in a couple of seconds. We will also use the weekends while you're here. So while you're here, while you're in the program, we do stuff with you. That is different from year to year. It always depends on how many students we have, what we can do, what we can offer. But again, I'm sure it was never boring in the past. It's a mix of lectures, teamwork, and also coaching. And we will basically at least have 2 different projects where you work also a little bit like in a competition against each other, with German students against other American students, with German students. So in a fun way where you will see it's we will get you. Let me put it that way. So here is the sketch with different pictures, same content. Now a little bit more in depth. What is it that we're really teaching here? It's about global German production footprint, planning and managing a factory in a digital world, service business models, ergonomics, one of the best courses because it's my course, and German enterprise law, stuff that will be interesting for you. Always with respect how we do that here in Germany. I mean, you have human factors engineering and ergonomics in America too, and I know that. And we will see that we focus on what we do differently most of the time. You see here on the other hand, also the merge course here on site, German culture and workplace. That is important to be in the city of Munich to see that. So that's something we cannot put in an online format, I think. Business in a foreign country, survive in a discussion. Then you really talk with the Germans about whatever we are doing, what project we do. Innovation management in a German context, case study competition, entrepreneurs for industrial services. Those are the academic subjects. You see here down there, there's also the welcome dinner that Doris already explained to you, which is just the beginning. And also basically through the whole time that you are here in Munich with us, the 5 days online and the almost 2 weeks on site, we will do online orientation or on-site orientation, depending on the fact if you're online or on site. We will coordinate with you and make sure that you find the places to go and that you know what to do. There will be events like city tours, traditional Munich cooking events, brewery tour, Salzburg tour, whatever we can do best in that time frame will be done. And again, boring. Then again, in order to make sure that you really understand it, here you see what is online, what is on site. This is a draft. I'm not sure if we do it exactly like that. That's how we did it this year. We might change out one course with the other, but the general idea is we do an online onboarding with the buddies. We do a conference with you where we talk about German culture and we prepare you to come over here. Lern etwas Deutsch. It's already in German, so you can figure out what that means. It means learn some German, right? And we will do that and prepare you to have fun immediately when you arrive here, not try to find a dictionary as soon as you land. So that will all be taken care of before we start. Then we put some some lectures in it too, with service business. Jörg could tell you much more about that, but it is sometimes very important that you learn something about it, that you understand it, you understand the concept, and then you come over and apply, and that's basically the idea behind that. So we all know that online learning is kind of second best, On the other hand, we have a lot of experience in doing that for the last 2 years, and it also makes it, from my perspective, much more easy for you to have, the 6 credits. And when you're here for the 2 weeks, that will be intensive. But later on, you could also go and travel around. You could do some stuff on your own. You could figure it out and maybe go from here to Austria or whatever, and something that you really wanted to do or that you are planning to do. So the intense time that you spend with us, you won't have to worry about that there is no program. Here you see now, when you come to Munich, we will again have a welcome in Munich. We will make sure that you find your hotel. It means that we pick you up from the airport. You see then the lecture starts here with ergonomics, innovation, company tours, law and EU market, innovation again. And so this is, a little bit, we put it together that every day will be, not too full, but you will be busy. So in general, the online courses are more like 3-4 hours, contact hours. When you are here on site, it's more like 6. So the most of the load is in the courses here in Munich. So it's also not that you have to sit there in America for 8 hours and try to not to fall asleep while somebody's talking to you. So we know enough in order to make sure that will be still a good program. Also, if it's online first. So then further on in Munich, we will make sure that it's also not too long. You see here we started around 9, we end already at 5. So it will still be fun in order to go out and see something from the city every day. You'll be here and live and work with us. The buddies are working with you. Jörg mentioned it. We showed you already the buddy from this year. Buddies are also a little bit talking to us, how they experience the situation and what they have to back to us, so we can basically adapt if we have things that we have to. And having that said, I'm handing it over back to Jörg with some last words about the situation with COVID or unexpected situations. Jörg, that's your part.
Right. I mean, this is just a kind of disclaimer to make sure that you are in full responsibility, of course, to comply to all the rules and requirements which are in effect at that point when you would come to Germany. It is not expected that there would be a severe situation. However, if there is, we would be prepared to exchange the program to a complete online section. We did that before. However, we do not expect that to happen, and we definitely wouldn't like to do it that way. There is a flexibility in this respect, however, and we just need to make sure that at that point in time when you're about to travel here, that you are aware of the rules at that point in time. Nobody can prepare for that now in advance. Yes.
Yeah, super. Now I also see that there are at least 2 more students that I haven't seen before, Ashley and Amber, if I'm not wrong with that. And so I would be interested, did you have questions with respect to the program? Should I explain it a little bit more in detail, or was something, missed that you are interested in? Amber, I'm going to ask you.
No, I'm good. I got a lot of information. Thank you.
Right. And Ashley, what's about you?
I don't have any specific questions about it. I think you've covered it very well.
Okay. Have you been already to Europe? I would be interested to know that.
Me, I have not. I'm also a freshman, so I think I hopped in the wrong Zoom call, but it was interesting to learn about this program. I was interested in the +3, which I feel like would be similar, but I've only taken German. I've never been there, been to Europe.
Okay. And what's about you, Amber?
Yeah, I've never been to Europe before.
Okay. Well, it would be a nice first visit. I'm sure about that. You know, also a visit where you know where you're going. And I always have that. I don't know. From my perspective, I want that to be for you, like, you know, come and visit friends. So you should know where you go. It is a place where people are happy to meet you. We are trying to do our best to give you a very good education from an academic point of view, but it also is a lot of fun. So, and that's our goal, and hopefully we will succeed doing that. I took another picture from Munich. It almost looks like a painting. I feel a little bit like I overdid it here a little bit, but it is a nice picture. That's what it looks like, even though the colors are a little bit overdone, I guess. And we would really like to see you here in Munich. And with that, I would kind of also try to hand over back to Loreen. I also see now that Phil just came in, so we might still use the time here to make sure that we do whatever is necessary. Maybe Lorraine, give us a little bit of a
Yes.
feedback, what we could still do, or if we should repeat something, or what.
Oh, go ahead.
Before you jump in, Johannes and Jörg, actually, I wondered if you would mind addressing a common question. So the program is open to engineering and business students, as we've spoken about and you've mentioned as well. And I'm wondering if you could address, you know, what you think is significant or important about having students from both of those majors on the same program, if that's something useful, especially because of your background. And the work that you have in industry, and how that really works out as far as the student perspective and the student experience.
Yeah, I will try first, Jörg, if you don't mind, to answer that question, and then you might carry on with that. As I said before, we are a faculty of mechanical engineering and business administration. If we look into the colleagues, they are mechanical engineers, there are people from business administration, and our school is basically a school where all the professors came from industry. So this is one of the requirements in order to get the job. So as Jörg probably, I always think it's impressive where he has been all over the world, you know, but he has been there as a manager in the automotive industry, you know, and I have been working in the automotive industry too. I've been a production manager. I had 130 people that were working for me in the factory hall. We did automatic transmission. You know, they have those, the gearbox, obviously, but they also have tubular shafts. And the company that I was working for was basically building those tubular shafts. And from our background, we came from industry after all of us also have academic educations, obviously, but it is that combination of, you know, coming back from industry in order to teach at the university again and make sure that the students learn what really is necessary in industry. That from the point, you know, hands-on in terms of industry-related education. The other point is, you know, since we are a faculty of business administration and mechanical engineering, we also have those two fields, and we feel that the combination of those two fields is very important. And also our program that is basically now focusing on students from business, from technology, from engineering, makes clear that we think that one of the key factors of success for your career is that you can basically have a better view on how those things play together. You know, if you just talk to an engineer and just about technology, they think everything is great and they never understand why they cannot sell it. And sometimes if you talk to people from business administration, they think they can sell everything until they find out they cannot, because it doesn't work. And the thing is, I'm still talking about, because just yesterday we had that big faculty meeting with around 300 people from industry that visited us in Munich, because this is also our alumni event. And all those people said that, we have a company called ProGlove, where students from our university basically was a founder of a new company. And they introduced a scanning device. It's also an ergonomics thing. That's why I could talk about it longer than you probably want me to talk about it. But it's an interesting thing how students from our university now build a little company, right? And then come back after a couple of years in order to explain their success with 200, I think almost 300, right? People, was it right, Doris? Reading off their lips, how did those guys do that? And if you listen to them, it's always that combination of business and technology and how that works together. So that's what we want to share with you.
Yeah, and I would like to add a little bit more concise that the School of Engineering and Management we're not hardcore engineers. We are working on the interface between technology and business. And our students do that. So when you work together in the teams, it is not on hardcore engineering assignment. It is always business oriented. Of course, with a technical touch, yes, but it's business oriented, and that's the way why it fits very well for both faculties, because it's the nature of our faculty to be the interface between those two.
Yeah.
Really well said. Thank you both.
So Phil, what brought you to this meeting today?
Hi, everybody. Alicia just let me know the meeting was going on. I thought I'd pop in just to hear a little bit more about the program.
Super.
Yeah, I work in PIT business. I'm a program manager in PIT business. So,
okay.
So obviously some connections there relevant to our students. So yeah, I'm just fly on the wall.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
If Phil is our direct contact and who will be helping me tag team to, get to help advertise in the business school. So
super.
I think one of the questions I think talking about the intersection, I know last year, like with the case, like specifically on this side, I'm looking like with the case study composition, like the competition, would you be able to give any examples of kind of, what thematically like happened for the case studies that, were examples of how engineering business collide on the program?
I could, but I know that Rachel is here and she had to do it.
Yes, I was like, this could be actually an excellent time. If Rachel, would you care to share your experience from last summer?
Business and engineering collide. Oh, it was like we had the tour at BMW, and it was more than just a manufacturing standpoint. It was like how do you organize things and how do you schedule things and manage it in a way that was also engineering. I don't know. That was a great question. Business and engineering.
Well, what did you do for your case study?
What the case study was like,
Oh, the case study, yeah. For BMW.
Not what it was exactly, the topic, more like how it felt, how competitive was it?
It wasn't very competitive. I didn't even know it was a competition until a couple days before. I completely forgot about it. But for that, we did an empathy map. So you want to, in order to sell to somebody, you want to be able to get into their mindset, into that person's mindset. So we were thinking about what the average buyer of a BMW car would be. So we did that for an American buyer as well as a German buyer. And we just tried to like get in their head a little bit, like, who is this? Like, what do they see all day? Like, who are they usually hanging out with? What kind of people? What do they do on the weekends? Is it like a status thing, or is it more like, are they buying the car for status or for convenience, and just things like that? I would say like that's how you would business and engineering would collide there. That I really did enjoy a lot. That was one of my favorite parts.
What was some of your other kind of favorite program highlights from May?
Definitely what was it called? Yeah, the Landsberger Weizenfest. It was like a mini Oktoberfest. It was a lot of fun. We were dancing on tables with the buddies. Everyone was dressed up in German, like traditional Bavarian clothes. So we kind of felt out of place in our normal clothes, really. So that was a lot of fun. It was like a county fair, but in Germany kind of thing. Yeah.
But also to answer your question, Lorraine, what the competition is like. So usually what we do is that we team up the students, German and American students, and we give them similar jobs to do or similar questions to work on. And then we let them present in front of the representative of the company in order to show what they worked out. And they will give them the feedback, what they thought that the answer was like. You know, can we do that? Is it something that we will build next week? Is it something that is, you know, not a bad idea, but you know, also not a great one? And that is basically the competitive part of that. So we let the teams compete against each other, but it's good to talk about it because it's definitely not something where, you know, you feel uncomfortable and there are high expectations and everybody yells and screams because it didn't fly. And, you know, that's not the point. It's more like the students develop a solution, and that's what Rachel probably also means. It doesn't feel like a competition. It still is one. You know? So the best team also gets the best grade. That's also what it is at the very end of the day. Yeah? And with respect to academic sound solutions for a real world problem. Yeah?
No, that definitely makes I want to say that makes complete sense. But definitely a good insight here. And we do have a question in the chat from one of our students. So what is one thing you would say to a student should take out of this program regarding engineering?
Well, I think that the one thing that you get out of that is that you see, and that's why we call it always the German way. You know, it's not that we think we know best. Fortunately, that's also true, but it's more like, you know, it is a way that a different culture basically leads to different solutions or different processes. You know, like Jörg and I, we've been working in different cultures in different countries, and I think engineering always does have also a cultural aspect, and we should not forget that. I mean, we also use differential equations here, and they work pretty similar to what you do, right? But at the same time, if you look into a company like, you know, Siemens, or with Jörg, you did BMW, right? And we also had Audi on board this year. The way that they do it is it's not just technology, it's not just business, it's also cultural, and that's what I think you should take with you. Plus, when we are digging deep down, there will be enough challenge for you as a mechanical engineer where you will think, oh Jesus, I haven't thought about that before. That always happens, and you know, and that will be also a little bit challenging, and that should be a little bit challenging in my eyes, because the beauty about real world projects are that you usually do not know where to look them up in a textbook. Jörg, do you have to add something to that?
I think that's really good. That's a very good account of that. It's a
Now we
mixture
have to ask him if